Hi, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for the introduction. Yeah, my name's Sam Turner. I'm here from ACAN, but I'm representing a much bigger organization that you will see in a moment. There's not just the two of us, there's sort of 18 in the core group and up to, well, you'll see. I mean, we all know these things. Yeah, sorry, showing this to you again. But it's important to know that at this point in time, there is more CO2 in our atmosphere than there has been for the last 3 million years. We've already warmed the globe by 1 degree, and this is what it looks like. If we pass 1.5 degrees, that's apparently the tipping point where there is no return. So, just putting this here for a bit of urgency, really. As architects, as professionals in the built environment, we're responsible for a huge amount of that CO2 that's emitted every year. Directly, we're responsible for 22% of that in the buildings that we're making, but 42% can be attributed to us in some way. These are figures from the UK, that's where I operate, but I'm sure the figures are similar across the globe. And we have until 2028 to halve our global emissions if we're to keep on target. 2028. And these are some pretty drastic graphs of how we've got to do that. So we're flying too far from the planet, too close to the sun. I've spoken to a few of you about getting the train here today. I've saved myself 0.32 metric tons of CO2 in getting the train here rather than flying. But the average building in the UK, for every square meter that we're building, we're emitting a ton of CO2. So I have a much bigger effect sitting home at my desk and specifying different products, thinking about how my building is constructed, than I did flying here, to be frank. I did get the train, honestly. But we're part of this bigger system. We're the lowly little architectural workers down here somewhere. But we're affected by our clients, the contractors we're working with, the local authorities, the planning conditions that are imposed on us, or the regulatory framework we work inside. How can we really affect this much change to such a big system? Well, we can go on marches, and you can see us at the back there. We can sort of put our foot down. We can join bigger movements. And this is the bridge and the day that ACAN was conceived. Some of my friends were sitting on this bridge, occupying it, and wanted to know what we could do as an industry. So after lots of long meetings in the Barbican with lots of pots of hummus and crisps, 4 months ago, we launched as the network, and these are some of the open meetings we've had since. We meet once a month. We have expanded rapidly, and our meetings are always oversubscribed. We tend to go to architects' offices and take it as a bit of a roadshow. And we're organizing around 3 key aims. So we want to decarbonize the industry now. We want to encourage ecological regeneration and a cultural transformation. And we're doing this through some values. We want to reorganize the profession. We need new kind of professionalism with a duty of care to the wider world, not just our clients. We value honesty and openness. We want to share what we know and how we got there. And we seek urgent radical change. Our focus is on action and what we can most meaningfully do. And we trust in this collective responsibility. We're building a self-organizing system that the power is distributed. So this is some part of our system. We've stolen a lot of it from other self-organizing, more headline-grabbing organizations. So authority is distributed. We write mandates for individual roles, but also for groups. And then we have this sort of decentralized decision-making system working off of the idea of citizens' assemblies, and everything is transparent. We all work off of an open drive where everybody is welcome to contribute to meeting minutes, agendas, reports. We can start pieces of work on there, and everybody can get involved in that, and it's totally encouraged to get involved. So we work on this idea of radical inclusivity. So we form into discussion groups. We found the best is somewhere between 5 and 10 people, and we practice active listening in there. So there's a lot of hand signals going on, a lot of I agree and I've got a point, or I disagree. And we form these meetings and thematic groups where we hope to work on these problems together. So at the core of us, there are 18 coordinators at the moment, and these each feed out to a thematic group that is themed around an area of the industry we think we may be able to change, or an area of interest. And these are then supported by working groups who deal with the everyday tasks that we have. We can assign them a project, or we can call for help when we need it. And with that support network, so this is some of the work of the art and design team. They're giving each thematic group a graphic style, or there's the social media group who are running our social media campaigns. So within this structure, we then build campaigns. So that could be to change the ARB code, or join up with the Architects Journal's Retro First campaign. We recently had a campaign around building regulation Part L. But these are popping up all over our network. And they're going to keep coming. And there's so many more out there that I know they're out there. And we're building with this idea model of change. So we're envisaging a campaign goal and all the small actions that will take us to get there. We're forming alliances, working out who's with us, who's against us, and how to get those people against us to be with us, finding what their interests are, what they care about to make them change the way we want them to. And we see ourselves as this link between the profession, the architectural individuals in practice, and this sort of wider collective movement at the moment for climate justice. And we see our strength as in these individuals within our profession, that we've got the knowledge already there. We've got all the technology available to make the changes we need to. We're just in some cases hamstrung. We're not allowed to enact the kinds of design we would like to, and we need to change that. So recently, Architects Declare was formed in the UK, and this is architectural practices, 870 at the last count, I think. Architectural practices in the UK, 3,000 globally, including all of the 17 Sterling Prize winners in the UK. They asked us to facilitate their first assembly. So 2 members from every practice came to that assembly, and we helped facilitate some of the discussion, and we've actually recruited some of their members. So we see these as the practices that have declared the emergency, but we're the network that hopefully is going to take their staff and use that energy and that experience to do something with it. So we've been on demonstrations, we've built installations for marches. This is one of our campaigns to support one of the architects who was arrested on the bridge in Waterloo. This was a video, but it won't play because this is a PDF, but we're running late anyway, so it doesn't matter. So Tom was arrested on the bridge. He was convicted of not moving, a non-violent protest, but because of that conviction, he has to report that to the Architects Registration Board. So we decided to go along with him and hand in a letter of support as he handed in his letter to notify them. But we also took our architects' IRB registration numbers and held them up like like criminals. um, and our open letter of support to Tom garnered 480 signatures over one weekend. This was quite a last-minute campaign, but over one weekend we garnered that much support, and from some quite high-profile architects in London. This is our most recent campaign. So the UK government put out a consultation for changing Part L and F of the building regulations. It's a really dense, boring piece of document, but essentially it's about the building fabric, the energy efficiency, and the airtightness of buildings. If you read some of their advice on it, it's about how they're going to improve it and how they're going to make it the future home standard that is the pathway to going zero carbon. But with these fantastic girls and more than 100 experts from the London Energy Transformation Initiative, LETI, they've been working for the last 3 years in writing better guidance, and together we deciphered the guidance that was out for consultation and discovered that actually what the government were proposing were putting us on a track that we would never meet the legal obligations that we have to reduce carbon. So we wrote an open letter to the minister responsible with 4 key points as to how the legislation was missing the point and how it could be better. And then we organised 4 ways that people could get involved themselves. So they could sign our open letter, they could fill in yes/no responses to the consultation, or they could use our guidance or add their own to that response and give much more in-depth responses to the government. And they could also use our letter to write to their own MP. So we had Part L parties at architects' offices, helping people understand what this consultation was about and what it would mean to our future in the industry, and give responses to the government. This video again doesn't work, but this was more fun. This was us having a tug of war outside of the ministry. Part of the legislation was around limiting local governments' ability to set higher or more ambitious targets than the national government's targets. And already 60% of local governments have already committed to going zero carbon before our national government. So this legislation would hold them back in meeting those targets. So there's a nice little demo. But behind all of these smiling faces, I know there are so many more ideas as to how we can change our industry, so much more energy to address problems, to tackle the emergency. And they're getting together, we're all getting together to use our collective power to do that. So in 4 months since we've launched, we've garnered loads of followers, split into loads of working groups, taken part in 4 direct actions, and this is our 8th speaking event. We've had 1 romantic relationship from it, and eaten lots of hummus. But now, is the reason that we were so eager to come here is because this problem is not based in the UK. This problem is global. And so I kind of put it out there as a challenge. We're putting together an information pack, a manual for how we've set up the network, and making it easy for anyone else to step in and do the same thing. Wherever you are, whether it's a city, a country, we would love you to get in touch with us and form your own Architects Climate Action Network, wherever you are, and we'll offer support and advice in how we've done it and how you could do it in the future. So I hope you'll come up to me and take me up on that offer later. Thank you.